So let's see how we can go and set up our particular Git. Now, like I told you, right? So whenever I'm working with Git, I need to think from developer's point of view. So because basically Git is your version control system, which is generally used by your developers. So now developers, you rarely see them using Linux-based machines, right? Isn't it? Now let's see how you can do the same setup for your basically Windows-based machine because most of you are using Windows-based machines, right? I'll show you how you can use it, but the same thing you can go and work with your Linux machines as well. No problem. Whatever you are doing with your Windows-based machines, that can be worked with your same kind of Linux-based machines as well. Either you can go with Windows-based or Linux-based. I mean, like with Windows-based, it would be very helpful you to understand how this concept is working. Once you are able to understand it, right, you can do the same practice with your Linux-based machines as well. So whenever you want to set up your Git on Windows-based machines, right, all you need to do is like just go for this particular site, git-scm.com, right? So what I'll do is like come here and I'll simply say git. If not, you can simply say git download for Windows. It will automatically take you to the specific site git-scm-download.com. Right? This is a particular site which you need to go and set up your Git. Right? Just go for this specific site git-scm-download. And once you are here, and you see for which you own, and you see it automatically downloaded the 64 bits for me, right? So it is going and downloading, but I'll say like cancel for it because mine is not Windows, right? Mine is actually Mac. So Mac, it has inbuilt feature of Git. So with your terminal, you'll by default get the Git access for you, right? So once you set up this particular thing, that will be called Git Bash actually, right? Git Bash. Now I'll show you how that particular interface looks, right? So once anyone set up that, right? So I'll show you that how it is going to look. Like just keep it on this table. I'll just display the screen from here itself. Right. And once it is downloaded, right, just go with the basic installation. So it's a normal .exe file, right? Just select .exe file. So all you need to do is like go for the specific site, okay? Windows download, right? git-scm-download.com. Once you are here, choose the operating system, Mac, Windows, Linux based upon that. So mine is Windows, right? If I choose Windows, it will start downloading that particular instance, right? Makes sense? And you'll get the basic installation steps. Just select next here, just say run. Yes. It's like the normal installation what you do on like how you are setting your .exe files. And you see just like next, 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 next. And here we need to make sure that you have something called like use Git from Windows command prompt. You'll get one particular option saying that use Git from Windows command prompt, but choose the first option. It says use from Git bash only. So what that particular thing will do is like it will give you the Linux kind of settings for your prompts. So all your ls, chmod, chown, all these particular commands are going to work on your Windows-based machines as well. Alright? If not, let's say if you are comfortable with command prompt, yes, you can go for command prompt itself. But already we are more of Linux-based, right? So that's the reason why we are choosing Git bash, so that you'll get the bash settings for your command prompt. Now just select next, 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 next install. That's it. So you are changing only one particular setting there. It says git bash from command prompt, but choose git from bash only. That's the only setting we are going to change. That's it. And once that setup is done, you'll be able to see one specific git bash. And if you're installing Git in your Linux, right, all you need to say is like yum-y install Git. Done. That's it. But if I work there, you will be not able to get understanding of Git how it works because developers will not work from your command line, right? They'll use something like IDEs or text editors, right? So that's the reason why I'm going with this. And it says, just like say, uncheck that view, yeah, check that one, launch Git bash, and uncheck that next second one, and just select finish. Yeah. Right? You got one particular instance over there. And if you see, type ls, right? So basically, you are accessing Windows with the Linux based command. That's it. Now, if you are seeing that particular thing means it is Git has been installed successfully. Now you can check the version. Now what you can do is like I'll go back to my command prompt. Where is my command prompt? I'll open one more prompt for me. Right? And this particular thing is same like your git bash over there. So whatever I'm doing here, you can do the same particular command in that particular machine as well. Right? So let's say I want to check the what is the git version which is installed in my system, right? All I need to say is like git hyphen hyphen version, and you can do the same particular thing. Now if I say git hyphen hyphen version, it will tell what is the particular version of git which has been installed on your system. Can you get it in Mac? You're getting it in the Mac, right? Git space hyphen hyphen version. So by default, it will be installed actually. You don't need to go and install specific thing over there. Right? Now you are getting the same thing, right? Now let's see how we can go and set up our particular projects and all these things. Now, if you remember, let me go back to my, I don't think I don't need all these particular things right now. Where is my, yeah. Right? We have installed our particular Git here. Now, there is something called like configuration setup. This is very important. Now we have something called like git config hyphen hyphen global settings. So these particular setting, now this machine belongs to one developer, isn't it? Now the developer can be part of multiple projects, isn't it? He can work on 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 projects, right? So this basically configuration, what it does is, it is going to set up one particular account for you, right? Because you are pushing different kinds of changes. Now for these changes you want to identify which developer you are, you can configure it over there. All you'll say is like git config, and you see when you set up git config, and before adding bunch of files, to fill up username and email. So basically you are creating an account for this. Git config is nothing but creating one specific account. So how you are going to create, you have got two specific options for that. There is something called like git config hyphen hyphen global dot username. Right, this is one important, and username and what you say email. These two things are required, and rest you can ignore them. Git config hyphen hyphen global user dot name, your name, and the email address. You cannot make commits until and unless you have both your user and email has been set up over in your Git bash. So if you have set up, then only you will be able to make the commits. Give your name and email. That's all you need to do. So these particular things, I mean, like these are required in your Linux-based machines. So if you want to use particular, what do you say, editor and all this for timing, just like these two are good enough. That's it. The first two settings, user and email. Alright. So that is how you are going to do the Git configuration for you. And now you see what it says. The purpose of Git is to manage a project, isn't it? So basically, there are a list of bunch of developers who are trying to develop this particular project, and they want to maintain the versioning for this project. And you say, and you see that a project are set of files that change over time. Git stores this information in a data directory called a repository. So yesterday we have talked, right? So this is one of the tree which is there in my Git. Now, how we are going to initialize that repository, right? So you will say git init. Now, how we are going to work with this? I mean, like, let's say you are working on one particular project right now. Let's say I am working on a project, mkdir, something like website, right? And you'll do cd website, right? And if I do ls-la, will I be able to see anything here? No, right? Because I did not create any particular thing or nothing. Now here, this is your project, right? Now here you are going to do git init. So basically what it does means, whenever you do initialization, it means you are telling that the website or the project which you are working on will be called a repository. Specifically, get repository. So you are making that whenever you do git init any specific directory, it means that you are making the directory like your git project. Now, what is the difference between a normal directory and git repository? I'll show you right now. So whenever I do git init, right, I'll get some hidden files over there. Now I'll show you. And you see, what is the next step? It says git init is only when you want to create your own new repository from the scratch. That's what, right? Now I'm creating from the scratch. But if it's already developed, you are never going to do git init. Just for time being, remember that. I'll talk about that thing later. And it turns a normal directory into empty git repository. So whenever I do git init, right, it will turn this normal directory called a website into my projects. And there is one more thing. A default branch master is created whenever you initialize your repository. So what I'll do first, I'll go to this specific thing. Now let me see if I got anything like web app. No. So I'll say mkdir websites. Right? You can do the same thing with your particular this thing. Or how generally your developers work, they open that particular directory, right? Let me do that thing as well so that it will make more bit of. Now this is my particular directory. Now what I'll do, let's say I want to create the new directory here. This is my particular thing, and I'll say so I'm creating one new directory and I'll say websites. This is how you create, right? The same thing I'm saying that mkdir website. That's how you are going to create. Now I created a directory called website. Now if I see ls website, yes, I have my particular website over here. Now I'll go into website, cd website. Right? Now if I do ls-la, am I having any particular file here? Now if you see here, do I have any file in my website directory? Empty. Right? So basically what git init does, if you read again here, it is going to convert your normal directory into a git repository. So I'll go into this specific directory and I'll say git init. So whenever you are doing git init, it means, sorry, am I recording this session? Right? Whenever I say git init, it means I'm initializing this normal repository called, a normal directory called website into my git repository. Once I do that, what it says? Empty repository. Why empty? Because currently there is no file or nothing present here. So whenever you are initializing, now if you say till point of time there is no file here, that's why I did git init. Now let's say you already had 5 files and you did git init. Now versioning control will not be available for the earlier 5 files. Okay, so your 5 files are not going to have that versioning, but from this point of time you are going to have versioning. Whenever you do git init, that is what you started tracking your projects, right? And you see there is something called like master. I think you might also have got something called like master there. Did you get that? Yeah. Okay, just select mkdir, the website, something, just select project one, cd project one, and do git init. Right, and let me show you that particular this one. And you see, can you see there is something called like .git? It is actually, if I say ls-l, it will not be visible, but if I say ls-la, now you have .git directory. This .git directory is where all the metadata of your project is going to be stored. Your versioning, everything is going to be present under this particular .git directory. Right, now if you see ls, right, now do I have any specific file here? No, as of now I have got no particular file. Now let's see how we can go and start tracking our projects. Yep, now it says workflow. Understanding your git workflow is very, very important. Yesterday we have seen the architecture. So what is the architecture we are following? 3-tree architecture. We got 3 trees. One is working copy, your staging area, and your local repository. And if you want to send these changes to your other server, that is called your remote repository. Right? Now let's say how we are going to particularly change your things. Now, like I told you, I'm not having any particular file. Now, generally how developers will work, like I told you, they'll be using some editors, right? Some IDEs or editor to start working. Let's imagine I'm completely right now a web developer who is completely working on some website related data right now. So let me use something like a tool like this one, so it will make sense. I'm using one particular text editor to start my projects. Now, there is one particular command which would be very, very helpful whenever you are starting your project. There is something called like status. This is very important. So what this particular command does, it will tell you what is the current status of your project. So what is the project which I am currently working on? Websites. Right? If I say git status, now you see what it says. On branch master. So we'll talk about branches later, but by default, whenever you do git init, you'll get a branch called master by default. We'll talk about that later. Just remember that this is the default branch which you get created whenever you do git init. And it says nothing to commit. Why nothing to commit? Because is there any change present here? No, right? I did not create any file, that's it. And Git is very intelligent. It will tell what to do next. It says create or copy files and use git add to track the changes. Now what I'll do, let me go and create one particular file. So I already having this particular thing, right? So I'll go here and let me say I want to work with some HTML related data. So here I'll directly say this is not my plain, right? So it is my HTML, right? And I'll use some HTML tags. So basically I'm creating one specific file with some HTML tags, some dummy tags. Now I'll save this file. Command S, and where I want to save this, so it is there under my Ravi and website side, right? There is no file. Now let me say this is my index.html. And I saved the changes. Earlier, there was no file present here, isn't it? Now, but I got something called like index.html. Now I created the file in my projects. right? Now if I go and if I do git status, right? So there is something called like .ds underscore store. We'll talk about that. Basically, it is your hidden file. So let's say whenever you're working, right? So all my pointers, data structures, everything will be stored under the ds underscore store. Ignore that particular file, right? If not, I'll directly do rf ds underscore store. Right? I just remove that particular file, and if you say git status, I'm currently having a file called index.html, and what it says, the first thing after initial commit, untracked files. Why untracked? Because there is no versioning for this yet right now. I created a file which is having some lines of data, right? So there is around like some 9 lines of data is present in this file. Is it being tracked? No. I want to start tracking. So what it says, if you want to start, go with add. You are having untracked file, go with git add. So what I'll do, I can say git add file name. Git add file name, which is index.html. If you are having multiple files, second file, third file, fourth file, if you want to add everything, dot star, yes, star, or basically dot would be very preferable. Dot means everything in this particular directory, current directory. Dot indicates current directory, right? That's it. If not, I'll simply say index.html. Now I'm adding index.html. Right? Now, if I say git status, that's the reason why git status is very important. Now I'm doing git status again. It will still the current status of my project right now. So what it says, so if you remember, right, what are the 3 stages which I am having currently? One is working copy. So in working copy, what I did, I created and I inserted some 8 lines. Right? What is the next area I'm having? And the next area was, right? So I created some index file in my working copy. Then what is the next thing I did? So what is the command I used? So whenever I do git add, it is adding this particular change which is there in my working area to my staging area. Right? Yesterday we talked, right? So basically we will be pushing our files from working to staging to local copy. Right? So basically currently I did git add which pushed into my changing area. Now what is the importance of the staging area? This is for whenever you want to keep the changes or not. You can come, go and back like cart, right? I told you, right? Cart. So if you don't want the changes, you can do something called like git rm hyphen hyphen cache. So all these undoing changes we'll talk later. First we'll see the committing, then undoing, all the undoing we'll do once, right? And it says changes to be committed. So I told you, right? Whenever you want to commit, what is the meaning of commit? Finalizing, right? Yesterday I told you. It is like purchasing that particular thing. So how you are purchasing that thing? Yesterday, what is the command we discussed? What is the process? So we talked about 2 things: checking out, committing. So what is the commit? Commit is nothing but whenever you want to local repository. So I'll say, so I mean like git commit, and you will give some specific message. Git commit hyphen m and the relevant message. So what is the thing I did? Created index with HTML structure. Make sense? Because what is the meaning of versioning? I want to know what happened at that point of time. So at this point of time, I created a file called index with this basic HTML structure. Right? Now if I make another change on this thing, again I need to do staging and this committing. Now let's see how we are going to do the specific things. Now, so currently I'm having one specific file. So, and also you need to remember that. So if you say git status, if you are getting anything in red, it means that it is currently under your working copy and it is not tracked. If you are seeing that in green, it indicates that it is in your staging area. Blindly you can remember like this. Just blind, right? You can say if you are seeing something in red, it means it is currently in your working copy and it is not being added to the staging. Whenever you see green color kind of things, it means that is currently there in your staging area. Now let me commit the changes. So you understood, right? What is the meaning of commit? So I'll say git commit hyphen m some message. I'll say created index.html with uh, HTML structure. Now it said, and you see, it was tracking everything. One file changed 9 insertions, right? Why 9 insertions? Because my file is having 9 lines, right? Now let me go back. So every time I was using the same command, right? Git status. Nothing to commit. Working tree is clean. So what it is doing right now? It is making the comparison, right? Your working copy, your local, and staging, right? I told you staging and your local repository are completely logical areas. Now if I say ls, I can view index.html, but it is only having 9 lines of data. Now you cannot see what is your, what you say, staging area and local repository. Those are completely virtual, right? Now what happened? So now let's say my project has been, I mean like I have created this specific file. Now I want to see like what I made the changes here currently right now, right? So you got something called like git log, which is very, very important command, which will tell you what happened at this point of time. So versioning is that only, right? I want to know what happened at this point of time. Now you got a command called git log. Once I do that, you see, whatever you're seeing some commit number, some specific author, date, and the commit message which I have given. Now I was able to commit it because I already did git config hyphen hyphen global user dot name, DevOps, and email. That was that's the reason I was able to do the commits. To make the commit, you should definitely go with the 2 steps which I showed you earlier. Git config, user.name, user.email. That is important. Now, you see, it created index.html with HTML structure, and you see there is something called like a number, right? So that is basically called your commit number. Ready? Yes, basically it is a not count actually. So it is like a unique identifier for each commit. Now, what is the meaning of committing? There is some change at that point of time, right? So whenever you are committing means you are doing some change. For that change, that is a unique number. So what is the change I created in my directory right now? I created a file with 8 lines. For this change, the commit ID was this specific number. Now let's say you have some 10 commits. It means there are 10 changes. Those 10 changes you can go and run with this particular command. So this is basically your SHA algorithm. There is something called like SHA algorithm, which generates some 40 digits hexadecimal number for each and every unique change. Right? Whenever there is a change, it is going to store one particular thing. Now let's say currently there is only one change. Now I am opening my file again. So I'll not open it with this particular thing. So I'm coming back here. Now there is no title here, right? Let me update some title. Let's say this is my DevOps session. And I introduce some changes and I'm saving those changes. Now here if I say git Why? We are changed. And what does git status is doing? It is making the comparison between my, is it making comparison with repository or, so you got three areas. Is it making the comparison between working area and staging or working and local repository? Staging, exactly. It is not making with staging because they have not added anything to the staging yet. Right? Now if I want to track these changes, that's the meaning of versioning, right? I want to start tracking. How you are going to track it? Git add, right? So you see what it says? Git add first. Then you are going with the commits, right? I'll say git add and index.html, or simply I can say dot, indicates all the changes which are there here. Now if I do git status again, you see it says modified. It is in the staging area currently. Now are you finalized? I mean, like, let's say, is the title correct? DevOps session? Yes, I think it is correct. I'll say git commit -m. I'll say title updated. Alright. Now I introduce some new title here. Now it said one insertion and one deletion. Alright. Now if I go and say git status again, it says working freely because I committed the change. Now if I do git log, right? I got two commits. What's the meaning of this? So I have two changes, right? One is created index, and always your first commit will go down, right? You're having some index.html and title updated. Now you want to see what happened at this point of time. Right? You got one more command. So you don't need all these 40 digits, even the first 5 or 6 digits is good enough. See, because it is completely unique, right? So you can copy the first 6 or 7 digits. I'm copying this first 6, 7 digits. I'm quitting from this particular file, and I'll say git show. This is very important command. Once you say show and that commit number, right? For each and every change, I got specific commit. And if I say git show and the commit number, this is the change what happened at this point of time. You created a file called index.html and you introduced this particular number of lines over there. Right? I told you bug tracking, I mean like defect tracking. This is how you can track your defects. Now you can know everything what happened at that point of time. Day 1, day 2. Basically with the help of your commit message. So that's the reason why whenever you are committing, you should definitely have that specific commit message. Right? Makes sense? So basically we are doing all these particular commits. Now let's say you want to see what happened for the second commits. So I'll just copy this specific first 3. Even the first 4, 5 are good enough. Until and unless it is unique. You need to make sure that these are unique. That's it. Now I'll say git show and this specific commit. And you see, and I told you, right, why Git is memory efficient. There is a reason why. It deleted that older title, it introduced this new title. This is a new version of my file. Right? SVN does not work like this. SVN will make another copy of this file and it will store these specific things. That's the reason why I told you it will take up more memory like that. Right? Currently I got 2 things. Now let's say, but generally we are not going to have 2 or 3 commits, right? In real time we are going to have hundreds and thousands of commits. Isn't it like, let's say you are changing some database settings, let's say you are introduced some new methods in your particular thing, let's say there are some new implementations in your project. Now this particular thing will become very, very huge, right? Your Git log would be very, very huge. Now there are some filters for this. Now all you can do is like git log let's say you want to get according to the author, right? Let's say git log author, something like Ravi. Do I have anything? No. Why? Because who is the author actually? If you see, most of my author was DevOps. Right now, I'll say, alright, you can go and get with that particular thing. Now, if not, let's say you want to get with something like a specific message. No, git config hyphen hyphen global dot user. That is your author. No, that's just for example sake. But here, actually, my thing was, so how you can get that information? Git config hyphen hyphen global, I think list. You see, right? So that is what you have set up while you are setting up your thing. So that's how you need to go and check it out. Right? In this particular file, you can get this information. Git config hyphen hyphen list. And let's say you want to get according to the some commit messages, right? Let's say I want to get git log, so I don't want with some author. So we got something called like grep, right? If you remember, it is generally for field. I'll say hyphen hyphen grep, and let's say this is something like maybe some database related code. But do I have any database related code here? Nothing. But what I got something like, not title, what I did, I give HTML. Okay. I forgot like what was the thing I have here. Yeah, title updated. Okay, it is going with basically taking the case sensitive, I guess. I think you can give grep hyphen I, right? So let's say log grep title. You can go with get this specific information. Hyphen I, yes. So I think git log grep hyphen I, right? If not, let's see, git log hyphen hyphen help. Ignore case. And you see there is something called like log sync with some specific dates. Regular expression, range, path. This is since, yeah, grep. Line that matches the pattern unless otherwise noted. Hyphen 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 author. You have grep pattern. Hyphen hyphen I. We get the correct one, right? It says hyphen I. Ignore case. Let's check again. Git log. Okay. Hyphen I grep. Hyphen hyphen I. No, it's not it. I think maybe I should give like this. Yeah, hyphen I. Hyphen I, hyphen hyphen. Yep. So basically it's like combination, like how you are going with this particular things. Now you can get that specific information over there. Alright. So like this, you got that all the list of information, right? You can choose any specific, what you say, tag like since or from specific date, or let's say with specific author. You can go and get all the specific information. And let's say whenever you want to go and work with something like, what you say, now let's say if I say git log, right? Now if you see, for only 2 commits, I'm getting almost this specific page, right? So if I'm having 100 commits, it is going to be very long, right? It's going to be very long. I don't want this long information. I specifically want shortcuts. Now you have nice configuration. Git log, there is something called like hyphen hyphen one line. Right? Now if I do that, very simple, right? Basically just for that specific change, what happened, what's the commit number, short commit number, short message. That's all you need to know, right? You don't need to know author and all these things. Basically, if you have this information, you can know that what happened at this point of time. And if you want to see what happened at that specific time, git show commit number. That's all. You can go and see like what happened at that specific point of time. Now, if you see here, now you will be able to understand the specific diagram, right? So you got working directory. Any changes you are making under your working directory, you are adding it to staging area. How you are adding it? Git add. Once you add it to staging area, it means that okay, these changes are available in your staging area. And if you want to commit those changes, git commit. Now that will be available under your local repository. These are the only three tricks which we saw till point of time. We didn't talk about a remote repository. So remote repository, let's talk about later. So currently we'll see how you can work with your local repository itself, right? So this makes sense, right? So we made some particular thing, we added some changes. Git status is very important, which would give you the current status of your project, right? Once you do that, you will add that particular file to staging area. Then you'll check the status and you'll commit the changes, right? You understood it? What's the difference between staging, working, and your local repository? Completely three trees, right? If you got any doubts, right, maybe like after the class you can clear because you did not attend the first class, it makes some more confusion. Right? Now, yep, you see, we already worked with these particular commands. So git log, which is nothing but which is giving you the status till what happened at this point of time. Then we saw git show, which is nothing but it's like a zoom in option. So whenever you want to zoom in what happened at this specific time, you will go with the git show. And there is one more command called git log hyphen one line. And which is one more important command is git diff. So what this diff does means, it will compare the differences of different commits. That's it. Git diff, your commit 1, commit 2, commit 3, commit 4, commit 5, commit 6. Now, I'm going with this specific change. Now, let's say I'll add one more change, vi index.html. If not, I have that. I don't need all this, right? I'll directly go with the where is my right, this one, right? Now I'll say this is not my DevOps session. This is my Git session. I change the particular things here, right? And I'm going back here. And if I do Git, again it says it got modified because I changed some text here, right? From DevOps session, I change it to Git session. Now I'll do the same thing, right? So I'll say Git and dot git commit hyphen m updated title to git something like session. Now it got updated. And if I say git log hyphen one line, yes, I have got 3 commits. Now I'll copy those 2 particular commits and I'll see what's the difference between them. Right? I'll just put up in the specific file. Right. So whenever you want to say Q is for quitting from that file, and I'll say git diff and the commit. So this is the particular commit which I have introduced here, and dot dot range, and for this specific change. You removed something called like session, and I actually give opposite, right? Because I was given the last particular thing. That's the reason why I was getting that. But you need to give the specific commit which you did the earlier one. Then it will say that you have basically introduced something called like git session over there and removed your particular thing, right? This diff can give you the comparison of your commits. What happened between this commit and this specific commits. That's where you can use the git diff, right? And what's the other command? Git log. Yep, head. Head is very important. Yeah, I'll just discuss this head and I'll stop it here. Right? Now you see, whenever you want to understand Git, right? If you understand head concept, right? It means like you understood Git. That's it. As simple as it. If you are able to understand the head concept, it means that you were able to understand what is the meaning of, I mean, like how the Git workflow is working actually. Right? Now, I told you, right? Git is a tree architecture. What is the meaning of tree over there actually? See, if you see, there is something called like tree, branches. It is completely relating to some particular tree, right? I mean, like generally for trees, you are having some specific branches, right? And if you see, there is something called like head. Now, what it says, head is a reference or a pointer to the latest commit ID. Right? For timing, it is the latest commit ID and is always moving and is never stable. Right? I'll discuss these 3 points. So it says your head you got head, which means a latest commits and which also is always moving. So always moving is nothing but not stable, right? So it is nothing but the same thing, not stable. Right. So it says head is the latest pointer. This is very important. If you understand that particular thing, it means done. Now, how many commits I made till point of time? 3 commits, right? Now, if I say git log hyphen online, I'm getting 3 commits. So I made commit 1, commit 2, commit 3. So at this point of time, what I did, I created something called like a HTML file called index, right? So I created a index file here. What is the second commit I made? I updated some title, introduced some title. What is the third commit I made? It modified, right? So I modified title. And what is head means? It is the latest pointer. So when I made commit 1, right, this particular index, my head is here. Right? Because this is the latest commit at that point of time. Right? Next, I made the second commit here, right? Now my head is no longer here. You see, always moving. Now my head is here. Whenever I made the third commit, now my head moved to this specific place. This is how your Git is tracking what changes you are doing. Whenever I said git show the commit number, right? What it is doing? It is placing your head here and it is showing what happened at this point of time. Whenever I say git show second commit, it is placing your head at this point and it is showing what has happened at here. Now if I say, this is a command punch, right? Now I'll say git log hyphen one line. So this is the latest commit I made, right? Git show this commit number, right? We introduce something called a git session. Now I'll say git show right? Why? Because currently your head is third commit, latest commit. So your git, how it goes is depending upon your head. So this is a pointer actually. I told you that git works on pointer based. This head is a pointer. So based upon this head, your project is moving. So there is something called like branches concept that makes more clear once you start understanding this particular branches concept. Then you will get a brief idea like how your project is going from different directions in different phases. Right? Now you understood, right? Now in the similar fashion, you can use something like git head hyphen 2. Now if I say this is a second commit. I mean, like what you say is like in the sense, second in the sense, it is like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Yeah, that particular thing. Right? So always make sure that head you should remember definitely. So when you are learning Git, you need to have good understanding of how your header point is working. Right? So maybe once I introduce the branches, right, this will not be no longer like right now currently it is going in the straight head. That's the reason why you are able to follow it up. Once you create branches, right, your head will no longer go in the straight direction. It will go zigzag like this. Right? So now I think there is one more command. I think I will discuss that as well. Git reflog. Yep. You see? So yes, note down this command as well. This is very important. Git reflog. This particular command will tell you how your header is moving in your project. Git reflog. Right? Once I say see. So when I made this particular thing, my commit was initial commit. You see, head 2. Head 1 was my title updated. Head 0, sorry, what do you say? 0 was updated the title to Git session. The same thing, right? So your 0, 1, 2. Sorry, I came in this order. 0, 1, 2. Right? Like this. Yeah. Tomorrow, I think like there's a lot of things left. So tomorrow we'll see. Yeah, tomorrow we can go and start with your branching concept and all this. Yeah, no problem. Right? So today you got any doubts for this session? So you got like only pretty 7 or 8 commands we saw today. So like how you can check the logs. Right? So basically we went with the 3 particular things. I mean like mainly how you are working with your staging area, working copy, local repository, and how the changes are being monitored. One important command is git status. Right? The other one is git log hyphen one line, git reflog. Right? And whenever any other particular things, so we discussed show, commit, and configuration. So if you want to commit, you definitely need to go and work with the git config username and email. Then only you will be able to do. So what you'll try is like don't set up any username and password. Try to commit. Right? Try to commit. It will automatically give you that hint. You need to add the username and email ID for that to make the commit. Right? So I'll stop it here today. Tomorrow we'll go and start with our particular branching concept. Right? Yeah. For Git, Git I think like another maybe 2 classes, 2 or 3 classes. Maybe tomorrow and day after tomorrow maybe that's. Okay, so Thursday, right? Yeah, fine. I think like we'll meet again on Saturday. Not even Saturday, right? Monday. Okay, directly on Monday. No, tomorrow we have session, no problem. So Wednesday we have, right? I think like Wednesday, Thursday and Friday they are off classes, but I'm not sure. But like Saturday, if you want to come up on Saturday, then we can take classes on Saturday, no problem. Alright? Is it okay? You are going for village. Okay. Yeah, maybe like tomorrow we can discuss, like tell me like how we want, like whether we can take this or let's say if you want like skip this and directly want to start from Monday, we can start from Monday. If not, we can do one more thing. Like maybe we can take tomorrow like 1.5 hours or 2 hours. from 3 already I'm having one more class actually. Really? Morning I'm not having any time. Nope, no need. Online is good enough. So let's say if not, I'll take tomorrow from 5 to 6:30. Is it fine? 5 to 6:30 tomorrow, right? I'll take till 6:30 tomorrow, 1.5 hour, and I think like in one more class we can wrap it up our kids. Maybe like we'll see if is it possible we will take on Saturday. If not, we'll directly continue with Monday. Right? It depends. Like tomorrow we'll see like how it goes.